(21,746 feet. That's... Oh my God, that is high up. And that is how high Giles Fowler went on his paramotor. That's ridiculous. It's only 18,000, not only. I mean, that's still really high. 18,000 feet is how high you're allowed to go on a paramotor in the United States. Giles, on the other hand, doesn't live in the United States. He lives in the UK, in jolly old England. So let's dive on into this awesome conversation that Giles and I had about his 2015 flight up to 21,746 feet.
You have my undivided attention for as long as you need. So if you need to cut in and cut out bits, then my time is yours.
Good.
Oh, before I forget, Paranoob says hi, by the way.
Oh, sweet.
He was on the conference call. That's our next project, you see.
I may or may not have been eavesdropping in on your call. Actually, my girlfriend showed up, and I was like, you want to hear somebody with a British accent? Because Americans are like, oh my God, it's a British accent. We don't have an accent, do we?
You do. You have an American accent.
Can I hear your best American accent?
I'm rubbish. I'd never go to acting school, so.
Which would make it all the better.
So what you're hearing is me. This is Giles. There's raw Giles,
right,
in all his unkempt glory.
I feel like people from England just have a different reality than folks in America. Don't think I mean that in a negative way. No, I feel like life is just so different. Busy.
Yeah. You're always trying to think about the next thing, and time is so compressed, and so a weekend is, you got to do everything at a weekend because you're back to work on a Monday, and just the frenetic life of, and you just go, do you know what? Can I just take a week off? I just want to go and fly. And then the weather's crap, and you go, oh, you go back to work having not flown. So, because it isn't. I think it was one of the videos, your other podcast. You say, once you do it, it's an addiction, and you've got to go. 10 minutes is enough just to give your soul that
just to get your crack fix.
That was it. Yes. I was like, oh, that's a good way of putting it. But yes, it is an addiction because
no, it is.
I had an accident, and it's a video that's coming out next Thursday. I flew into some power lines.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, 11,000 volt power lines, and survived.
Oh, shit.
And
I don't mean to laugh.
No, but it did change my outlook, and I actually stopped flying for about 8 months. Although I was deployed,
Really?
I was deployed during that time. And literally, I was like, I'm not going to fly again. And then 6 months after I had the accident, I had to do that 300-mile flight.
Right.
So that was getting me. I had to do it, and then after that, I was like, do you know what? I can't do this now. I've lost the love of it. I've done too much. Went away and gone, no, I still need to fly. And then came back to the UK, and the first thing I bought, even before I got back to the UK, was a new wing and a new Paramotor, ready and waiting for me to come back to the UK too. And it's like, yeah, and I'm back on it now.
Have you been to the US?
Yes, I was there this year actually. Last year. And I went to Aviator. I managed to fly from Aviator.
Oh, nice. Did you meet Eric?
Yeah,
and Travis?
Eric, Kyle, and Travis. They were really, really nice. I think Eric.
Right.
I think Travis is ex-Air Force. He said he was ex-Air Force.
Coast Guard.
Was he? Oh, okay. He said.
I don't know.
Yeah, he said to me he was ex-Air Force. So.
Fake news.
Fake news. Eric's a really nice guy. Carl's, they're just so genuine. They love flying, and to make a career of it is just fantastic. So when I see all their videos, like up in there, because we were staying about 40 minutes away in Kissimmee. We went to the Disney bit, and we were staying in a villa, so that was really cool. And
is that what brought you to the US? Was just
3-week holiday, so 3 weeks over there. And I'd emailed Eric before I came over and said, I'm here. Any chance I can? And I think they'd just come back from their EAA Paradigm tour, so they'd or one of their trips away, and literally had been back about a week, and then I popped up. But yeah, it's just weird flying there when you see all these people and like your videos and everything. It's like, I've been there.
Yeah.
It's awesome. And
No.
Woody was there actually as well. So, but he didn't really talk to me.
Dang. So, Woody. We're actually supposed to have Woody on the Paramotor Podcast.
Yeah.
Not next week. This weekend we've got Tucker Gott.
Yeah.
And then the following weekend.
He doesn't speak to me.
Woody.
He doesn't reply to my messages. So.
Which one? Who? Tucker?
Yeah.
I'll ask him a favor. Like, would you just please respond to Giles' damn messages? Yeah.
The trouble is, do you know what? He must be in a really awkward position because he must just get so much message traffic.
I know
that you could either. Do you want me to fly or respond to messages? I can't do both. And right. Do you know what? I wouldn't
Make up your mind. People.
Yeah, I wouldn't want that. I just love flying. I've been flying since I was so young, and that's what it's all about. But hats off him that he can make a living out of it. So.
Yeah, no kidding. No, he didn't respond to my first 100,000 messages. No, I think when I found out about paramotoring, obviously he's the first thing that comes up, and you watch it and waste hours of your life that you'll never get back.
Do you know what though? When I had my accident, watching his videos helped me get the confidence back to do it again. So I did drop him a bit of a deeply meaningful message saying, thank you for your videos because actually they helped me get back flying again after my accident. So
nice.
Yeah. But
nice.
Again,
that's exactly what I did. Yeah. I mean, I messaged him like a thank you message which I still don't think he has seen. And I'm hoping that he never comes across because my thank you was like, I love you. I love you, man. Yeah. I love you.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was like I'd always wanted to be a pilot. When I was 15 years old, I was doing, my private pilot's license. I accumulated like 27 hours in a Cessna 172. And then when I joined the Army, I was like, okay, I'm going to be a helicopter pilot. And that dream just like got crushed when I got injured over there.
Yeah.
And so I couldn't pass the FAA medical examination. And so I was like down on my luck. And then I stumbled across Tucker's paramotoring videos. And that's when I just fell apart and had to tell Tucker, I love you, man.
Yeah. And he's gone, weirdo.
Yeah. Oh, no, I'm excited about that. That's going to be cool. Even considering the things that Tucker's done, he just has a gift with editing videos, and he's able to share his adventures where if we can get you, I mean, you recently just got the Cena headset, right? Or some sort of configurator, or the GoPro that you can...
Yeah, I've got the 6, and I've literally Paul Paranoob actually lent me a recorder, so I've been overlaying the voiceover. But it's the last flight, or the video that comes out next week, that is the first one with the GoPro adapter, and that is brilliant. It really it just cuts out all the engine noise, crops, you're not saturating the voice all the time. So that's the first one, and it intro bit, sort of sneak peek, but intro bit of the video is me getting zapped by 11,000 volts. Then it's then the music fades out and he goes, GoPro adapter day.
Wait, you actually felt it?
Oh yeah.
When it?
Oh yeah.
Oh my god.
I broke the line. I broke the lines of my wrists.
What?
Yeah, 11,000 volts went through my body.
No way. I thought it was just a scare.
No, shit. I broke all 3 lines. So those ones that Mitch flies under, I broke with my body. Hang on a minute. I'll try and give you a screenshot of the video.
Oh, this is going to be good.
Stand by, caller. In my British accent.
Oh my gosh. Let me see.
Open it up full screen.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, the flash of light.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
What happened? How did that happen?
Well, that's the whole point of the video is talking about how I did it. There's a bit of a voice, me talking through this headset. Actually, that's how I know it works quite well. Looking at the map, and effectively it was a number of, I call it the Swiss cheese model in aviation. So there's lots of lines of failure that can happen, and there'll be something in that flight that stops a failure and having an accident at the end of it. This was effectively all the holes in the Swiss cheese lining up, and then the stick that would go through it, or the line that would go through it, you effectively have an incident at the end, and there's a picture of that as well. So, wow. This was a poor recce, followed by me not seeing them. It was December, 2:00, shadow. Those lines are over the top of a tree line. The sun is coming from my right, so all that is in shadow. It's the fields behind were ploughed. There was 7 other pilots in the air. Big event. You add all that up, lots of bits, and your brain doesn't quite see them.
Right.
We were briefed. There were 2 sets of power lines. I spotted 3. I hit the 4th. So you look at all this in sort of big picture. I still hit the bastard things, but it was just the not seeing them and being in a site I'd never flown before. But,
and there's just one guy in the photo who's watching you. All the other people are like, huh?
Yeah.
I mean, they're distracted.
Wait till the other bit. You see everyone, and actually there was 3 or 4 other guys. 2 of them were ex-army, and 1 was a nurse. So, but
when are you sharing this to your channel?
A week. It's next Thursday. Next Thursday is coming out.
Nice.
So
I look forward to it.
Yeah, I'm out of material now. I've got nothing left.
Yeah, just hit him with a bang, and that's
so
a zap.
But yeah, that was basically it was like my arms got hit with an iron bar, and then I had no feeling in them. I flared, but because the lines had knocked all the speed out of my wing, and I'm still 40 feet up, I literally just arrive on the ground. But because I've got no feeling, my nerves have been overloaded. I couldn't turn the engine off. I literally had a jelly hand. You know the scene in Harry Potter where he takes all the bones out of his arms?
Yeah.
That's what my arms felt like. I had no return nerve sensations. So I couldn't actually, it's like I've leant on my arm for half an hour and you can't see it move. That's what it felt like. But like someone had hit me. I was walking around within 5 minutes of that. And I was in bed by midnight that night, having had a full ECG in the hospital.
Oh, God.
And then 6 months later, I did my 300-mile coast to coast. So that's what I had to get back from. So talk about confidence loss and pushing yourself. That's the limit of what I was able to do, and then had to stop flying for a little bit. So shit happens and you deal with it.
No kidding. And I think another cool thing that you do is with Paul, you help him with a lot of his stuff, right? Yeah.
I mean, I like making stuff. I'm an engineer at heart, and I like improving things. So he's been doing his Icarus prep. I'll also be trying to do the UK Icarus, but it's not as big as the American one. We don't have enough land. So the spin-offs of me trying to do it is also trying to make sure he's got the custom stuff he needs that fits his purposes. So all those bits and pieces of sewing and other bits and pieces, I've just been sitting behind a sewing machine making stuff for him.
Jeez, well, that's really cool. And so he, Paranoob, by the way, if you're not already subscribed to Paranoob or Giles, I would definitely suggest doing it. He has the Icarus Race coming up, right?
Yes, yeah, that's the 21st of June this year.
Right. Okay. And is it always 1,000 miles?
Ours isn't anywhere near as long as the America one.
Okay.
So we don't have the landmass to cater for that.
Right.
I said I did 300 miles coast to coast. That's the west coast of Wales, the east coast of England. That's only 300 miles. So you'd be going up to Scotland and coming past Birmingham and back down to London and then back across just to do that. So it's just not practical because we've just got too much airspace.
Is that something that interests you? Is perhaps in the future coming to the US to participate in the American Icarus?
I think the complexities of trying to get stuff overseas is hard. So I probably wouldn't do
borrow mine.
Yeah, I'll bring the wing over.
Spider, you'll be like last place for sure. But
it's all about how you plan it, really, isn't it? It's all about how you plan it.
So, I guess so. If you have a nice tailwind,
yeah,
you could make some progress on that Spider. If you've got a 100-mile-per-hour tailwind,
or you just lock the trimmers out, or lock the speed bar out, and just don't bother using it.
Yeah, I used it for the first time last week, where I had the trims all the way out and the speed bar all the way out, and I was like, "Oh my god, my wing can actually go kind of fast." It wasn't too impressive, but it was really cool.
To put it into context, if you're fully trimmed out on your Spider, I'm still fully trimmed in on my Hadron.
Right. No, that's
I will still probably go away from you.
Yeah, Mitchell does it. Mitchell, like, I'll be trimmed out all the way and he'll be like holding brakes.
Yeah.
Like with trims all the way in. He's like, I'm gonna stall my wing if I try to fly beside you.
Well, I had it with one of Paranoob's videos where we flew together one evening and we were trying to do his first ever wingtip bump, and I was hanging off the brakes. I'm full neutral, hanging off the brakes, and just like we didn't have head-to-head comms, so I couldn't actually say go faster because I'm hanging anymore and I'm going to stall the thing and going to go into a twist. But yeah, it's like, can't do this. Got to go faster, man.
Nice.
But yeah, it's all good fun.
Several people recommended that I sign up for an SIV. You said you went to an SIV.
Yes.
Do you feel like you learned a lot from it?
An immense amount. I'd put it off far too long because I don't like falling, if that makes sense. I've never wanted to do a parachute jump. I said I'd never do a parachute jump, but I did one last year because I gave myself an excuse to do it and thoroughly enjoyed it. But falling out of an aeroplane, the falling sensation is the bit I hate. So the reason I put off my SIV was I didn't want to do the full stalls because I thought it'd be like the falling sensation. Actually, it was far less than I actually did. Ended up doing 4 full stalls in the exercise. The thing you take away from an SIV course is energy management. And this goes into the barrel rolls, the wing overs, because every session, call it a sortie, every sortie that you do when you launch off the mile uphill in Turkey, finishes with wing overs, and you get them bigger and bigger and bigger, and it's all about confidence and pilot progression. You know, there's an end goal of you've done your sats and your stalls and your spins and everything from the first point of we're just going to see what speed bar's like, and we're going to do a full frontal collapse and just see what happens. And you realise when you actually grab your A lines and you're flying along, you grab your A's and you just pull them down and let go of them, and the thing just goes poof, poof. Really? Is that all you're going to do? Okay, let's just collapse one side, shall we? Let's 50% it and hold 50%. And you're still flying straight and you're correcting with the weight shift and the brake, and you're flying along with 50% of your wing gone. Okay. And you let it go and you pump it out and you go, oh, that's all right. And you just build up this point of full speed bar, frontal collapse. Oh, is that all it does? And you just come to the point of going, this wing really can't scare me now.
Uh-oh.
Let's do a spin. So you get a spin. Oh, that pushed the limit of my comfort. I didn't like that. And then you get to the day 6, which is kind of whatever you want to do day. And mine was a sat, and I wanted to do a sat, and I'd always been happy with full nose down spirals. I could sit in there, hold it in, happy with this full G, sort of G straining as you're going around, and come out and recover and bleed the energy off. And so I said it's about energy management, knowing that you can't just go full 90 to full level at full power because you're going to go up.
Right. You're
going to be in the all wrong position. The energy is going to go in the wrong direction. So happy with nose down spirals, and then got the timing, because the sat is about a timing thing and the amount of brake to pull, and sat there braced, pulled in, got the extra wrap I needed, pulled, and just went to a lovely, and the G just comes off. It's all really quiet and nice and sedate, and you're like, oh, this is awesome. Can I keep going? Or better come out now because we're coming low to the ground, and the instructor over the headset says, right, come out now, ease off, and then you go and land on the beach and go home for tea and medals.
Tea and what?
Oh, it's an old phrase from a British comedy, Blackadder, going home for tea and medals.
Oh,
so
I don't know if I can make that stick here. I'll try it with some of my buddies.
It's a very British phrase, I suppose, going home for tea and medals.
Just give me a beer. That's what they'll say.
Your phrase is "hold my beer," isn't it?
Yeah, hold my beer. We're gonna send it.
I've seen where that comes from. Actually, it's a guy with a big tash.
Canadian.
Yeah, I'm gonna send it.
You did the sat. I know. So it's interesting. Like, I'd love to do a sat, and I know watching it on Mitchell's. Well, no, on Tucker. I'm sorry, on Tucker's
Mitchell doesn't do
YouTube
sats,
channel.
does he? He doesn't like sats.
No, he doesn't. And it's like, I want to live vicariously through him, but I can't reach my full vicarious potential if he's not doing sats.
It's almost one of those things of once you've done it and know how to do it, you've got to make sure you're in the safe zone to do it. Because, like I said, when I hit the spin and it all goes wrong, and you're ending up that if you don't get out of it quick, you could end up with a riser twist. The same thing happens with a sat. That if you get it wrong and the timing's wrong, and I think Woody mentioned this in one of his videos, that you could end up spinning the wing in a really high energy position, and then you're in the twist as well. So it's all about timing, and that's what you learn on SOV, energy management and timing, to make sure that you don't do it in a situation where the wing is just going to get completely out of shape in front of you. I'm not trying to scare you, but it's just...
Right. No. I mean, I don't have a reserve. That keeps me from...
Get a reserve.
It's probably like a good thing in a certain way. Everybody's like, no, you're an idiot. You don't have a reserve. You should get a reserve. But I'm like... think of all the things I haven't tried that I would have tried if I had a reserve. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, I sort of hark back to my, I say full-size flying days where before you do any aerobatic maneuver, you do your Hazel checks, which is high airframe, security, location, lookout. So for me, before I do any maneuvers, I make sure it's almost like planning a mini flight within a flight. So I make sure I'm over the right area. I'm clear of other people. Anyone who's flying with me is away or is landing. I'm going to set myself my base height where I stop. I've pre-positioned my hand. So if I reach down, I know where my reserve handle is. So if I have to go for it, I've already re-primed my brain that everything is where it needs to be. There's nothing flapping around on my flight deck. So when I've done SATs, I think they're only mild SATs, I needed to get them more 45 degrees than where I've got them on the free ride. But I've gone up to my 3,500, 4,000 feet, and I've set myself, I'm going to do this, and then if it goes wrong, I'm going to recover or do this, just so that you know you're running through a checklist. And part of that checklist for me is, am I safe and clear? And is my reserve where it is? If I haven't got a reserve, I never fly without a reserve.
Right.
That's just that's my very British conservative mentality.
Check.
Yeah. Am I clipped in? Check. Yes.
Yeah, a little voice in your head.
Yeah.
All right, we are good to go. So, do you still practice SATs?
It's a bit cold at the minute, so normally when I've come back, I'm tired or I'm really cold, because your blood circulation and you're going through quite a high G maneuver. For me personally, I haven't felt up to it, so I haven't done it for a while. But I do want to. I've done some on the Hadron. That goes around quite sweetly actually, and I've done quite a few on the free ride. But I just, hello cat.
Hello.
It was coming right at the most opportune moment. Yeah, it's just, if I'm not feeling up to it, I don't bother, because what am I doing? It's meant to be about me flying. It's not about other people. So I just enjoy flying for flying's sake.
I'm sure it's cool to learn all these things, the SATs, the loops, things like that. I imagine even after learning it, ultimately I'll just be cruising around, just getting into the flow of flying and enjoying the scenery.
And that's the thing, it's doing it because you want to, not because someone's telling you to do it. And for me, I lost a little bit of that. I was doing it. I was so focused on a lot of the record stuff and achieving stuff and testing stuff that actually I forgot about just flying. You know, it's a nice day. I don't actually want to fly today, or I really want to fly today. Oh, the weather's rubbish. You know, just rekindling that love. So
right. Plus 11,000 volts, was it?
Yeah, 11,000 volts. That was a bit of a kick to the body, but I got over that.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, that's cool. So I actually plan on attending my first SIV in March. I think it is.
Do it.
March.
You will know what a reserve is.
Yeah, no, it's great. I'm actually really looking forward to it. I'm hoping I'm at a level where the instructor will have the confidence in me to be able to try a SAT. It's going to be over water, and this SIV is actually going to have you use your motor.
Right, okay.
Which I thought was really cool because it's a familiarity, so that by the time I get home, and it's neat the way they have it set up. They have, in the event that somebody was to go into the water, they have this like machine that could clean out your motor, run some water through it, and re-oil it.
Oh, so, wow, that's cool.
Yeah, it is. So everything's taken care of on site. But I think there's definitely some advantages. I've heard some other opinions as far as it may be more complex, of course, using your paramotor during it. But the logic I have is like, I think I want to learn it in the way that I will be conducting it when I get home. Real life scenarios and a real life situation. Whereas mine was a paraglider wing with a paraglider harness. You're also ever so slightly going to respond in a different way. And I think Woody also mentioned this in a video that what you take away from an SIV is what you personally take away from it. And you need to almost go in with a blank canvas of your brain, because Mitch will have told you stuff from his perspective and you've got your own perspective from what other people have told you. I've told you my feelings on it. And I'll give you one example that will lead me to have more trust having done one than before. We launched off one of the sites, and it was a rocky site. There was pretty much, once you launched, you didn't come back.
because even if the wing was bent out of shape, you had to go. I got a full locked-in cravat on the left-hand side. So if I had 10 minutes to get rid of that, because it was a 10-minute glide to get over the water. I spent 4 minutes, and I've got it on a video, 4 minutes collapsing and repumping and stablo line and repumping and collapsing the side of the wing to get this cravat out. No amount of pre-installation of a wing into that scenario would get you to go, I've got to collapse my wing to get this cravat out. And that's what SIV gives you. It gives you confidence.
Right.
It's not about the SATs, the stalls, or anything else. If nothing else, it gives you confidence to know what to do, whether you're on a Hadron XX, a Warp, or a Spider. It doesn't matter. They will all get bent out of shape. Just they take a little bit more to do it. So you can still have a fully messed up wing on a Spider, but the SIV will teach you what to do when it happens.
Yeah, and that confidence that an SIV can give you can also make you a safer pilot, because one of the things you don't want to be is panicking in the air. I think having a good understanding of like the experience that can be understood better after taking an SIV reduces a lot of that fear. Or I haven't done it, but maybe you would.
Well, you said to me earlier, my bump tolerance is higher.
Yes.
It's probably higher through knowledge, dispelling fear through knowledge.
Right.
And that's what it gives you this knowledge to understand that, do you know what? This wing can thrash me around. It feels uncomfortable, but I know it's not going to do anything. It's like riding a motorbike, constantly thinking the back end's going to break out.
Right.
We don't do that. We ride knowing that it's going to be all right.
Right.
And that's exactly what it is with SIV. You have the confidence to know that no matter what that wing does above your head, you can deal with it.
Right.
You can deep stall your Spider on your motor, and it'll come back, oh shit, I've got a cravat. Do you know what I need to do? I need to restall it. I'll restall it, the cravat will come out, and I'll carry on flying. Yeah? I'm not saying I naturally want to do it, but actually you know what that wing's going to do, or what the response or what you're going to feel is.
I'm genuinely curious, because you've been at it for 10 years, or at least underneath a glider of some form, and you've accomplished something huge, which horrifies me, which is 21,700, was it?
46 feet, yes.
21,746 feet. Oh my God, that's crazy.
That's just over 4 miles up.
Oh, I get dizzy. I honestly get dizzy at 500 feet.
Yeah, well, you and Mitch just whiz around big open plains, so going any higher is almost novel for you, isn't it?
Yeah. I think the highest I've been is probably 8,000 feet. I didn't have anything to gauge it aside from the mountains that are close to my house. And the peaks of the mountains are, I think the Franklin Mountains are like 6,000 AGL. And then if I was looking over them, I don't know, I estimated a couple thousand feet above that. But you were more than triple that. And I'm like freaking out at the thought of it. I'd really love to hear the adventure in it and the preparation to go up to there. And
yeah, it started about 2 years before that, because I did an attempt in 2014 where I only got to just over 19,000 feet. Using exactly the same machine, actually, but a different wing. We were originally using a paraglider wing, which we worked on the premise of it's going to be lifty, but actually it wasn't as lifty as we thought. So I'd done all the training for that 2 years, the year before in 2014, where we'd been to the Centre of Aviation Medicine to learn about hypoxia training, decompression sickness, how I would react. So they literally took all the oxygen away. My sats went to 50, and the alarm goes off at 50, because if you go unconscious, you forget the symptoms. Right. That then taught me how my brain reacts, how I react. And it's just like for me personally, it was really tired. So my vision would tone slightly. I wouldn't lose color. It's like trying to do maths when you've, at the end of a 24-hour day or something like that. That's what it felt like, which was helpful, because then when I redid the attempt in 2015, I actually got hypoxic symptoms about 18,000 feet, turned the oxygen up, and then they abated, and then I was all right.
What was like the worst case scenario? So like if you were flying hypoxia, your brain would lose oxygen to the point where you probably get really clumsy at first and maybe black out.
You just don't care. It's like driving down the road and going, what happens if I drive off the road? You just wouldn't care. You just become completely complacent and then just pass out. So I carried 2 oxygen bottles. I carried a primary, a lightweight composite bottle, and then what we called my last chance bottle, which was already pre-armed. And I literally, if I sensed the symptoms, if the oxygen froze or the flow failed, I would then literally disconnect it, bang it in the second bottle, and that was the event over. It would give me 30 minutes to get back down again. Because you can't descend quickly from that height.
Right.
Even if you to do a proper full-in spiral, you'd probably end up G-locking and then just passing out from that. So you just had to have at least 30 minutes to get to about 14,000 feet, where the oxygen then becomes richer in the atmosphere.
Did you use the same glider in both attempts?
No, I used the Viper 3 on the second attempt, which gave me an initial climb rate of over 800 feet a minute, which was brilliant.
So that's good. You'll have to explain because the Ozone Viper 3, right? Yeah.
Yeah, Ozone Viper 3. We used the 26, the largest they had, just because we needed the surface area. Because all the kit I was carrying, if you look back through the video, I've got a whole flight deck for a full reserve on the front, or full 50 square meter, or it's called a Yeti 50, was on the front. 2 oxygen bottles, just literally, I've got 4 layers of clothing on, which is why I'm sat on that bench. It stopped me sweating.
How many pounds?
I'm trying to remember now.
Kilos,
I can't recall. I'd have to go back and calculate. Yeah, it's kilos, pounds. I did a quick 2.21 conversion, but I think I was about 136 kilos all up. And I'm only 5'6" and a short ass. So.
But a Viper 3, that's a slalom wing, right?
Yeah, but it's also a very efficient wing. It's a bit like the Warp.
Was there anything else that you had considered aside from the Viper 3? Like the Hadron, isn't that a efficient wing as well?
It is. I didn't have access to one at the time because I had to buy everything. So there's only so much that you can stretch a budget to. And
you'd think that somebody would want to support the mission to go up. I mean, that's huge.
It's not really sexy. Let's just say that. So the Bailey Aviation provided the Hornet engine. Yeah. Which was I ran the tank dry in an hour 50. Yeah. Damn. It was a thirsty beast. But it was, I was still climbing at 200 feet a minute at 21,000.
Compared to the original
I don't know what I don't, because you just lose so much power. It's all about power at the end of the day.
Is it the power loss from the engine, or is it the less air flowing over the glider, or a combination?
It's a factor of everything. It's a combination of everything. The air gets thinner, temperatures drop, so the relative density increases, but then I'm also on a clock that I need to get up there before my main oxygen system actually runs out. And I have to come back down because I had a little chart that told me if the pressure gets to this, you've got this much time left. A bit like diving.
I see.
Because you're in an environment which we are not meant to be in. We are not designed to be at 25,000 feet.
Psychologically, like when you got up to that altitude, were you nervous?
Yeah. Yes.
It's good to know, because if you said no, you'd be crazy.
I had a couple of moments where I just suddenly went, this is a long way up, and it's going to take me. I can't just put the handbrake on and get out. So you have to kind of just give yourself a task to do. Make sure you're not thinking about the fact that you are just so far away from the ground, and enjoy it. It's a bit of a weird one to say enjoy it, but there was one moment that they get those really high altitude sort of wispy ice clouds. I flew past one of those.
Oh wow!
and you're just like, I'm 4 miles up and I'm flying past a cloud that I could almost reach out and touch. But it's ice, and that was completely surreal to me.
Is it the same guidelines in the UK as it is here in the US?
Yeah, we have the Civil Aviation Authority Air Navigation Order, which is our rules of the air, our highway code, as it were. We have to remain compliant to that. So whether it's a 747 or a Paramotor, we still are governed by the same rules, so the same airspace restrictions. The one advantage we have, we can fly over towns where you guys can't on FAR 103.
Really? Huh.
Yeah, so if it's like public events, we can fly near a public event as long as it's less than 1,000 people, and we can actually fly over the top of that.
So that's the trade-out, is we don't need a license, but it's also more limiting in certain ways.
Yeah, it's a balance of everything, isn't it, really? You guys have a lot more freedom to play around down low. We have a thing called the ANO, Air Navigation Order Rule 5. There's several parts to it, but one is called the 500-foot rule, and you can't get within 500 feet of any person, vessel, vehicle, or object. so you can't go whizzing past your mate at 2 feet away from him, because that's effectively breaking the law. So you kind of have this 500-foot bubble. It's not a height; it's a distance from, so laterally as well. So you can be above the ground as long as you're 500 feet from the house or the car or the person.
It's funny because here in the U.S. it feels like we're just a bunch of rednecks cruising around on these butt fans, and then over there in England it's like a very proper, like a formal aircraft, like it's treated.
Yeah, I mean, I treat it as an aeroplane. I mean, as I say, I've been flying 25 years from sailplanes. I had a private pilot's license as well,
right?
And sort of look at it all in context. And the paramotoring is that pure form. I know it's an engine on your back, but it's that purest form of I can just literally drag it off the back of my van,
right?
Set my wing out, go and fly. I can either be a formal aircraft, or I can have a bit of a play and do the barrel rolls, the wing overs, and go and look at the coastline and, oh, what's that over there, and just disappear off like a motorbike in the air. In
but
that
you
context.
Always have communication radios on you when you fly, right?
I do and I don't. It depends how I feel. If I one of the videos that's coming out tomorrow is me actually landing at an airfield. So I needed a radio to talk to them. But a lot of the time I'll keep it on just so I know what's going on, because the area I fly in is quite busy with traffic.
How can somebody find you on YouTube?
It's just my name, Giles Fowler. Yeah, just put my name in YouTube and it's just my channel. Nothing
right,
special.
And you have the video of you going up to 21,746
that's on there.
46 feet. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. There's technically, if you look at because it was all done under the FAI, Federal Aviation International rules, so there's a guidelines and a whole manual you have to follow. Doing the attempt seemed quite easy, to filling out the paperwork afterwards. You've got to have official observers and all the other bits and pieces that go with it. And technically, under those rules, there's only 3 of us in the world that have been above 20,000 feet.
That's crazy.
So I almost felt like I've been above 20,000 foot badge.
What was the temperature when you got up there? Did you?
With the wind chill, it was minus 50 degrees centigrade. And I actually had a block of ice on the helmet I was flying. There's a neoprene wind dam underneath, and the moisture coming out from the oxygen mask was seeping through. And I literally had this kind of block of ice that was embedded in the neoprene when I landed back on the ground.
I have no shame in saying that. If I was up there, I'd probably freak out and cry, and I would panic. But
it's giving yourself a focus, and that's where 11 months of the planning, and most of that was waiting. There were only 3 days in 2015 we could have done it, and I chose the middle day because it was the weekend. I didn't have to be at work. And bringing all the team together, we're literally on standby forever, looking at the weather. One guy, his whole job was to make sure we had the right weather for it, do the airspace clearance and all the other bits and pieces. Which gives me one little funny story. I had a KLM flight fly below me while I was on my paramotor, because I was in radio contact with the air traffic controllers, and I had to give them a flight level and position every time I changed flight level. So I said, RF paramotor, flight level 200, break, KLM flight level 150. There's a KLM at 5,000 feet below me.
Wow.
While I was up there.
So you've got the aircraft jargon down as well. You know how to communicate effectively where we just talked.
I've got a radio license.
Right.
Yeah, I've got a radio license, so that allows me to understand the gibberish that is coming across the airwaves.
Huh. Wild. But
and as Mitch will probably tell you, it is gibberish half the time.
Of course. And that's not the only time that you've challenged yourself on a paramotor. You also flew 300 miles, was it, coast to coast?
Yes, it was for charity, actually. A friend of mine was diagnosed with breast cancer, and I thought, right, I'm going to do something different. I'm not just going to do it for record. There was no records involved, although it is a big distance, and no one in the UK has ever flown that distance in a Wunner. I thought, I'm going to raise some money for cancer research, and I'm going to do something a bit crazy, wacky. Let's fly from the widest part of England, from the west coast of Wales to the east coast of England. I literally would have run out of water. I ran out of land. There was nothing left. That's how small England is. So took off from Wales, turned east, and then hammered across the country in 5.5 hours, did 300 miles in 5.5 hours, and then landed in some of the worst conditions I've ever landed in.
Right, I saw that. I mean...
Yeah, it was blowing 25 miles an hour.
That was crazy. Your wingtips were folding in, and you seemed to active pilot it really well to be able to land on your feet.
Well, I've done an SIV course out in Turkey, which is almost kind of the mecca for SIV in Iludinez, and it was almost those reactions that just went, oh, the wing's done this is what I need to do, and it just popped out.
Huh. And what wing was that you were flying? Was that the Hadron? No?
On the coast to coast. Yeah, it was the Hadron XX.
Okay.
Yeah, it's my favourite cross-country wing. You just put the trimmers out and just go. There's a friend of mine and I've nicknamed it the Lonely Wing because there's very few wings out there that, for the economy of fuel and all the other bits and pieces, that can keep up with it. You can have a small 15-metre, but then you're going to run out of fuel in 90 minutes time. Whereas the Hadron will just keep going. I only used 20 litres to cover the 300 miles on that.
Right. Huh.
That was it. That's two Maverick tanks. To do 300 miles.
Wow. So you didn't experience any of that choppy, crazy air during the majority of the flight, right? That was just on approach coming into land?
Oh, no, I've got absolutely smashed about an hour in over the Black Mountains, which is where Wales and England join. And there's a ridge line. And at one point, I thought I was going to get over it because the cloud base was so low. And then it broke just before. Because I was sitting about 2,500 feet. The hills were 3,300 or where I needed to be to clear them.
Wow.
And I'm like in cloud at the moment. But by the time I got there, it cleared. The wind that was behind me was obviously going up the first ridge. There's about 3 or 4 ridges, so what goes up must come down later on.
Right.
I shot up 1,000 feet in about 30 seconds. And I'm like, I am just going to have to hold on here because as you said, the sort of oscillations that then come behind it, the rotor that then pushes you down. I was just holding onto the risers because I was getting, my whole body was getting thrown forward. I was to brace against the risers to hold my machine back. And that carried on about 10 kilometers the other side of the ridgeline. So that's about 20 odd minutes of just getting thrown around the sky like a rag doll. But the wing didn't fold. The wing didn't do anything. It just sat there and kept me going. I was just trying to keep myself underneath the wing and not cry too much. but that was it. And then we got into the flatlands of sort of Middle England, as it were. And then I was getting hit with the thermals because it was the middle of the day, 1 o'clock in June, so all the heat was lifting off. And then got hit by wave, Cambridgeshire Way, which is sort of the last third of the trip. And that was smashing me down into the ground, and I was trying to use the thermals to get back up again. So yeah, it was every 80 kilometers was giving me a different weather system. So it wasn't a smooth flight, I can tell you that.
But it was still scary.
Yeah, I was pleased as a picture of me at the end, and I think I said on the video, I'm just so happy to be on the ground right now.
Yeah, no, that was cool. I mean, as we mentioned, that landing it looked pretty intense, and then the camera dude comes running up to you, and I'm sure you were elated to. Yes,
I think there's a bit of the side where I go, woohoo! But I knew that the only way I was going to get through it was going to be tough. It was going to be uncomfortable. I'd done everything I can to make the flight as well planned and supported as possible with ground support and other bits and pieces. But when it got really tough, it was almost my mantra for the trip of people suffering from cancer are going through more tough stuff than I am right now. And I get to walk away at the end of this. They still have to deal with the consequences of cancer. So suck it up, Giles, and get on with it. And that was almost my brain of just do it. JFDI, just flip and do it.
Did you accomplish the goal that you had set as far as fundraising?
Yeah, I think I'd set a limit about 3,000. I raised £3,500 for specifically for breast cancer research because my friend who was she's now recovered, not because of what I've done, but she has recovered from her breast cancer, is now living dare I say, as normal life as you can do once you've suffered from breast cancer.
Very cool. No, it's always nice to hear a positive outcome.
Yes, yeah, it is. So I know I've done my little bit to help. But the other thing is, Paul and I are doing another charity event in a couple of months' time. We're doing it called
40,000 feet.
No, but we're doing we're flying over 40 ex and current RAF airfields for the Royal Air Force Association over 2 days. So both of us together launching, with a support team, following old Second World War airfields and current ones through some of the busiest airspace in the UK. Not Heathrow or Birmingham, but it's still busy with military activity. And then wiggling our way down and finishing at RAF Holton. So that should be good. Also to raise money for the Royal Air Force Association.
No kidding.
Yeah.
When again is this?
We're doing this in April. All weather dependent.
I mean, England is just consistently overcast and gloomy, though, right?
No, it's not. That's not, man. Have you not watched any of my videos?
Country a bad rap.
Blue skies, man. Crystal blue. Everyone thinks London's full of smogs with horse-drawn carts, don't they?
Oh, they have vehicles.
Just not as big as yours.
It's because you pay for fuel by the liter.
Yeah, and it's really expensive per the litre.
Right.
Yeah.
What is it at right now? Last time you went to the gas station.
Call it £1.20. So what's that? It's about $3 a litre.
Ouch. No thanks. I see why y'all don't have trucks.
And your gallons are different to ours, aren't they? Yours is just under 4 litres, whereas ours is 4.5.
That even makes for paramotoring all of a sudden becoming expensive, because if I go fill up my paramotor, I'm not using the avgas. I use just the premium 91 octane at the pump. I fill up my tank for like just shy of $5.
If I'm doing a rough dollar conversion, I suppose it would be about $8 an hour.
Yikes. Yeah, for my entire tank to fill it up, it's $5. So that's 3 hours. So it's like
that's about £4.
$1.50, depending on conditions, if there's any lift.
Yeah, you need to get Paul on, because he is a character and a half.
I'd love to. Yeah, I really would.
I don't know if you've been messaging at all, but I'll get him to drop you a message.
Yeah,
because he's doing some really interesting stuff. Really, really interesting.
No, I would. I would love to get him on the podcast, especially with the guys, and we can poke fun. No, I'm kidding. About his. Also, ask him about flying a 4-stroke motor. That's uncommon.
It is. The Bailey, the Bailey engine that I use for my altitude attempt is the same company that made my 4-stroke for the coast to coast. So I'm flying.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. So the engine he's got in his machine is the same engine style that I had in mine.
Nice.
Paul's given me a thumbs up, so I've pretty much said to him to message you.
Awesome. Good.
Because he's at the other end of the spectrum. He's only 25, 30 hours, so he's still learning. And that's the whole reason is he's done his Paranoob is
right.
Tucker had already learned. There was no vlogs of people learning to fly.
Right.
And that's the whole reason he did it. And actually, do you know what? He's an absolute cracking bloke with a brilliant sense of humour. So we should probably get on so well. So cool. Anyway, Anthony, it's been great to speak to you in person. In person as personable as we can get. I don't know what the distance is, 9,000 miles or something?
Absolutely. And I look forward to having you on again with more adventurous stories.
Well, hopefully we'll give you a good story of our Rafa 40. So that will be a good one. 2 days of flying over the country through congested airspace, which will be awesome.
Nice. Sounds good.
Cool. Anthony, you take care.
You too. Thank you. With all this talk about SIV making you the best damn paramotor pilot in the world, I would strongly suggest you join me at Power to Fly's Bay Days in Corpus Christi coming up soon. All you got to do to sign up is head on over to powertoflyusa.com/baydays. And when they prompt you to sign up, tell them you heard it from the Paramotor Podcast. That goes a long ways in supporting the show. Hey, thanks again for tuning in to episode number 3 of the Paramotor Podcast. If you haven't done so already, head on over to www, that's for World Wide Web, .facebook.com/the Paramotor Podcast. That's where you're going to get all the juicy news on what's coming up next. Also, if you guys would like to hear someone else particular on the Paramotor Podcast, send us a message. Oh yeah, sweet merch coming soon. Until next time, thank you all so much for your support. Go sign up for that damn SIV, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!